Hello to you all. This is Oromia Broadcasting Network News. I'm Thomas Kamrat with the latest story of the day. For its airlines, Premier launches initiative to improve Ethiopian investment climate. Pope Francis urged peace in conflict zones in Christmas address. Now news in detail. Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed launched a national initiative to improve Ethiopia's investment climate. The initiative is an integral part of Ethiopia's action plan for jobs, according to the Prime Minister's office. It will make Ethiopia a competitive place to start and grow business, the office added. Ethiopia needs job-creating growth, successfully business and entrepreneur-drive jobs growth. The government has an essential role in identifying and addressing constraints that prevent the private sector from growing and generating jobs. The national initiative identifies over 80 distinct actions to be delivered across 10 government agencies. With clear direction from the Prime Minister, the reform measures will be monitored by the policy and the performance units of the Prime Minister's office and coordinated by the Ethiopian Investment Commission. A Ghanaian journalist, Elizabeth Ohens, in her analysis of changes taking place in Africa this year, described Ethiopia's Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, as an exceptional leader. She said Abiy Ahmed has been doing the seemingly impossible ever since and unexpectedly became Prime Minister of Ethiopia. Soricha Kabanisa has looked at the report.
In the series of letters from African writers to BBC Africa, Ghanaian journalist Elizabeth On looks back at some of the big events on the continent in 2018. The Ghanaian journalist articulated that it has been a year where one is tempted to invoke the always something new out of Africa theory. It's not every day you have a prime minister leading a group of soldiers into doing press-ups, particularly not when the armed soldiers had tried to force their way into the compound of the prime minister to protest against monthly ways. It is the type of scenario that is to end up in cops in the old days. But Abiy Ahmed has been doing the seemingly impossible ever since he is unexpectedly became Prime Minister of Ethiopia in April. He is 40 years old and currently Africa's youngest leader. There is nothing predictable about the man and how he has set about doing his job. Ethiopia had been seen by critics as an authoritarian state that brushed off criticism and remained an implacable enemy to neighbor Eritrea. But within a few months of taking office, Mr. Abiy had lifted the state of emergency, released thousands of political prisoners, allowed dissidents to return home, and unblocked hundreds of websites and TV channels. When she expressed the diplomatic success of the Prime Minister, Elizabeth On mentioned that people were digesting and desiring changes on the domestic front. The Prime Minister, in the sphere of diplomatic relations, did the equivalent of making the sunrise from the west. He ended the state of war with Eritrea by agreeing to give up disputed border territory, thereby normalizing relations with the long-time enemy. This came an unexpected visit to Eritrean capital, Asmara, and publicly holding hands with Eritrean President Isaias Afwerki to declare the end of the 2 decades-old war. Flights and the telephone communications have been restored, and there has been an outbreak of love between the two nations that has changed the world. In her expression that the Ghanaian journalist Elizabeth On pointed out the unprecedented move of the Prime Minister, move of the Premier to empower women. And if anyone thought there had been enough surprises, in October, Mr. Abiy appointed women to half of all the cabinet posts. If that does not sound impressive enough, there were other changes. Ethiopia now has a female president, Sahle-Work Zewde, a female head of Supreme Court, Maza Shanavi, a female head of Electoral Commission, Burtukan Mideksa, and the official spokesperson of the government is a woman. Billani Aster to you.
The House of People's Representatives approved the draft bill to establish a reconciliation commission. The House approved the draft bill with majority vote, 1 against and 1 abstention. Alma Bainad, more of that.
The House of People Representatives has approved the draft bill to establish a reconciliation commission. The House approved the draft bill with majority vote, 1 against and 1 abstention. The objective of the commission is to maintain peace, justice, national unity and consensus, and also reconciliation among Ethiopian peoples. The commission shall have duty to announce and make every concerned body to present his idea and the necessary registration. It shall have also duty to identify principles and values which will be best for national reconciliation by making discussion with groups of society which have different view. Moreover, it has responsibility to make investigation to identify the basic reasons for disputes and violations of human rights by making into consideration of social and economic circumstances and the view of victims and offenders.
Vice President of the Oromia Regional State and Coordinator of the Region Social Affairs Cluster, Taiba Hassan, said most of the hospitals being constructed in the region are progress well. A delegation led by Vice President has visited health facilities in Southwest Charge Zone. Fikar Brown has the detail.
There are 5 hospitals and 54 health centers which are currently giving services in Southwest Shawa Zone. Among the hospitals, Tulubolo Hospital is the first hospital which is giving service since 2010 and has currently developed to General Hospital. Experts of the hospital and the customers had to say the following about the service of the hospital.
Currently, they are giving good service. They are solving our problems. The way of service delivery is good. However, there is lack of rooms to give satisfactory service.
A delegation led by Vice President of the Oromia Regional State, who is also coordinator of Social Cluster, Taiba Hassan, has visited delivery service of Tulubolo General Hospital. Head of the Oromia Health Bureau, Dr. Drajit Uguma, on the occasion said the main aim of the visit is to check service delivery of the hospital and to identify problems it is facing. He also appreciated initiation of experts of the hospital in giving quality service, adding that his bureau is working with due attention to solve problems of the hospital.
Teamwork in the hospital is what should be appreciated, and it can be exemplary for others. They are doing good work on the quality of the hospital. More than 300 people are getting service per day. As a problem, they have shortage of rooms. This problem is seen in many hospitals. There is also shortage of medical kits and human power. So we will solve it being with Oromia Regional State.
Meanwhile, the delegation has also visited Walis Hospital, which is under construction. According to the delegation, the construction of Walis Referral Hospital is on a good progress. Currently, 35 hospitals are under construction according to the data gained from the Oromia Health Bureau. Vice President of the Oromia Regional State, who is also coordinator of Social Affairs Cluster, Taiba Hassan, underscored that the delayed projects are now showing good progress.
Projectiiwwan hedduun waggoottan 8 waggaa 6 waggaa 7 lakkoofsisan.
We have set direction to complete projects which are delayed for 7 or 8 years during our evaluation. After that, the construction of these projects are showing good progress. However, there are also some projects which are not progressing. We are taking necessary measures. So we encourage contractors who are doing their work well and take measures on those who have delayed the projects, she said.
The Oromia Police Commission announced that the public should stand by the side of security bodies to ensure supremacy of the law. The Commission has organized a discussion stage on the issue in Finfinne City. So Richard Maricha, the story.
The Oromia Police Commission has discussed with various police officers here on how to create similar awareness among the regional police. Commissioner of Oromia Police Commission, Alamayo Jigu, stated that they were discussed to serve the public according to the law and respect supremacy of the law. The Commissioner urges that the people are requesting the regional police to discharge its responsibility due to some illegal acts occurred sometimes. We confirmed that the public question is right, and that is why we are forced to discuss and plan on how to end the bad activity seen in our region sometimes, he said. Alama expects that Oromia Police Commission has been working to minimize the crimes in the region and to serve the public. He called upon the public to support the activities. Some participants of the discussion for their part stated that they are ready to discharge their constitutional responsibility and contribute their role in the country's transformational journey to a better democracy.
Some residents of Southwest Zone said they will play their role to protect political victories and benefits they have achieved following the reform undergoing in the country. A discussion focused on current situation and peace affairs of the Oromia and the country has been organized in Waliso town. We have more on that. Peace and Development Conference have participated various segments of the society has been held in Waliso town of Southwest Zone. On the conference, a research paper that focuses on the Oromo people governance philosophy has been presented. Participants of the conference have also voted to contribute their fair share to build democratic system in the country.
Our children, the Oromo people and the past man-tired fought for unity of the Oromo people and already we achieved it. Therefore, we have to nurture and transform this through working in unison.
Akka Dr. Abiyyi fi akka Dr. Lamma gara jedhanitti qofa osoo hin taane anarra maaltu eegama.
Any administrator should do his level best to transform the society. Just sitting idle and waiting for Prime Minister Abiy or President Lamma for everything will bring nothing. So you have to act in accordance.
On the same move, religious leaders, university students and elders have held discussion on ways of sustaining peace and stability in the country. Participants of the discussion said there should be peace to be able to run any religion activity.
If there is no peace, it is difficult to live. So we have to support our reform leaders. We have to strengthen our unity. This country belongs to all of us, and we can follow any kind of religion. So we have to work in unison to restore peace in our country.
Deputy Director of the Federal Development Institutions, Abtamoyle Mikel, said the political achievements gained in the country should be strengthened.
This victory has been gained by the huge sacrifice of the Oromo people. So, in order to enjoy its outcomes, we need wisdom.
You're watching OBN, Voice for the People. Now news from abroad. Pope Francis had used his annual Christmas message to appeal the peace in conflict zones, including Yemen and Syria. Yemen and Syria have both been ravaged by civil war for years, pushing their people into humanitarian crisis. The pontiff was giving his yearly to the city and the world address in the Vatican. Pope Francis hoped that the truce brokered by the international community may finally bring relief to those children and people exhausted by war and famine in Yemen. He also said he hoped the international community would work decisively for the potential solution, for the political solution in Syria, a country that is approaching its 8th year of civil war. The BBC reported. Thank you so much for joining us. That's all for now. Have a good time.
Adariva
Conflict may occur anywhere. It is a natural phenomena. No one can avoid it. But the problem is the way we resolve the conflict. If not resolved properly, conflict can be based of every social crisis. All nations have devised various conflict resolution systems to minimize the harm of conflict. The difference is their effectiveness. This system may evolve from time to time, depending on their effectiveness and evolution of the problem. Oromo is among the few nations that developed effective conflict resolution systems in the history of humanity. There are dozens of conflict resolution mechanisms in the Gada system, the Oromo social, economic, political, and spiritual system. Oromo has a special respect for the rule of law under the Gada system. Every life aspect of Oromo led by Gada constitution and the law that transferred from generation to generation. This Hera constitution and the Sera law of the Oromo in the Gada system beyond the Oromo and the Oromia had also been guaranteed right and the benefit of all human, other animals, and even non-living things. In many cultures and systems, law is something that somebody enforces on you and you respect the law in fear of police or other security officers. However, in Oromo culture, respecting the constitution and the law is culture. Gada law is the way of life for Oromo person. An Oromo practice Gada system without being aware of it. They just live the values of the Gada system. Conflicting interest is unavoidable in human life. Even though the life of Oromo person is led by Gada system, conflict may occur due to individuals' interest and benefit. That is why Oromo devised conflict resolution mechanisms in the Gada system. From its very nature, Oromo has a special place for truce. Duga. Truce is a crucial concept in Oromo conflict resolution mechanism. Duganil Mowakati is a well-known term in Oromo speech. The literal meaning of the term is truth is child of God. There is no material or spiritual concept that Oromo respect than truth next to Waka or God. The well-known conflict resolution mechanism is Jarsuma or arbitration in Oromo culture. Jarsuma is a mechanism in which council of elders meet and solve the conflict. This mechanism would work for private and conflict of nations. It is social institution of Gada system which less connection with Gada political institution. Gada officials would facilitate the arbitration process, but active participants in this mechanism are retired elders. Oromo has reason for giving this conflict resolution mechanism to elders. The elders are experienced individuals who have enough knowledge on how to resolve conflict. On the other hand, they are Yuba or retired elders who have no personal interest in politics. So the conflict resolution system would be free from political influence. They only work to ensure peace and a smooth relation between their people. two or more persons are in conflict and the case brought to traditional court, jarsumma or arbitration, what the offender is looking for is not compensation of the damage caused to him. He need only that his truth is known. The elders or traditional judges would also investigate the case, primarily to find out that to whom the truth is belongs. When they found it out, they disclose and award the truth to whom it belongs. The one to whom the truth has been awarded has nothing more. Actually, the elders would seriously investigate the case until they reach the bottom of it and could convince the defender that he has behaved to the offender in an unjust way. The next step is deciding the damage caused to offender. As far as the offender is convinced of his guilty, he would work himself to fix the problem for himself. The role of the elders is just to help them with legal advice. If the problem is just minor conflict and no physical damage is involved, awarding truth and restoring peace between the two parties would be enough. But if physical damage is involved, there are other mechanisms. If one of the conflicting body encounter wound during conflict, the one caused it would take the responsibility to pay medication bill. As the blood would shed, in such case, he or she would also slaughter a goat for the victim to replace the flow blade and recover from the pain. Then the truth would be awarded to whom it belongs and the problem would be resolved. The greatest and wonderful conflict resolution mechanism is GUMA or compensation institution in the Gada system. GUMA is an institution formed to settle murder and murder-related cases. There are different types of crimes settled through GUMA institution. The first and major one is murder crime. A crime committed on a ear, teeth, hair, burning house, killing horse and bull are crimes that would be settled through GUMA. If somebody kills somebody, the elders would take the case. They study the case and settle the problem through GUMA or compensation. The amount of the compensation you pay in GUMA form may vary depending on the circumstances. Actually, there is no material compensation for human life. The compensation paid through GUMA institution is just to help the family of deceased. Moreover, it is to create impression that the life of their beloved one is valued in the family of the deceased. GUMA will never be paid by a single person. It should be paid by the clan of the defendant. This has been done for reason. In Oromo culture, members of clan have responsibility for one another. They have responsibility to prevent members of their clan from committing crime. If crime is committed, they share the punishment. The person who committed crime should go to home of every member of his clan to beg for help. Begging is shame in Oromo culture, so the person forced to suffer mental inferiority so that he learned that killing a person is more shame than begging and to make him listen for others. The one who saw that a person is humiliated for committing such crime would never dare to commit a similar crime. Actually, GUMA is not only about compensation. It is about restoring peace and smooth relation between both sides. After the case is settled, both families would become family to one another. There would no grudge after reconciliation. Sometimes they would create marriage bond to further avoid sense of enmity. Peace is a pervasive and sustained concern in Oromo life. The long blessings that are given daily by Oromo elders are prayer for peace. Oromo believe in discussion and negotiation. What is the final option that Oromo take, if and only if other options are closed? If conflict is occurred between two Oromo clans or non-Oromo clan, the elders would take the case. Actually, they are elders of non-conflicting clans who take the reconciliation process. They arbitrate and negotiate both sides. After settling the root cause of the conflict, they call Kitte or peace deal meeting. On the meeting, both sides would talk about what they have in common and their difference. They slaughter the sacrifice and eat together. The life lost in the conflict would be judged through Guma institution, and the material damage would be compensated. More than all, genuine reconciliation and brotherhood would be restored. In Oromo culture, instigating conflict is against culture. Destabilizing peace is among greatest sin in Oromo culture. The race of the person who destabilize peace would be lost, according to Oromo belief system. The elders also curse a person who may destabilize peace during reconciliation. Sinke is one of strong and major institutions under Gada system. Sinke institution is another version of Gada administration for women. Conflicts occurred in the family, especially that related with women's rights, would be settled through this institution. If crime is committed against women, whether by her husband or somebody else, women in neighborhood will take their sinke and come out. They stop any kind of work, including preparing food. They stop everything until their problem is resolved. Then the elders would interfere and resolve the conflict. Women has also a special role in resolving conflict. They can stop war by coming between warring parties, having their sike in hand. In Oromo culture, any kind of conflict would be stopped if women interfere with their sike in hand. Adajila